Thanks for joining us. I'm Daniel Berlant with the Fire Situation Report for Monday, October 5th, 2015. Over the weekend, we saw a rainfall throughout much of California, even cooler temperatures, all of that a welcome sight. However, last week, CAL FIRE crews responded to nearly 160 new wildfires. Now, since the beginning of the year, there have been over 7,500 wildfires that have charred over 800,000 acres. So a significant year with number of fires and acres burned. A lot of that has to do with drought conditions. And as that recent rain has been a nice sight for the short term, it hasn't done much for the big picture. In fact, conditions are already drying back out across much of Northern California, as I'll talk about here in just a second. We saw gusty winds, which have helped dry conditions out. Now, switch over to our statewide fire map. You can see there are still 7 active fires. Now, with those 7 fires, nearly 900 firefighters remain on the front lines battling these fires. Now, on October 1st, so just last week, the Butte fire over in Amador and Calaveras counties was contained to just over 70,000 acres. In fact, 70,868 acres in total. But this fire now, the Butte fire, 100% contained. There are still firefighters that are out there making sure that mopping up, getting in those hot spots within the perimeter. But the Butte fire now, as of Friday, fully contained. Zooming back out, the other large fire that is still not 100% contained yet is the Valley Fire. That fire has burned 76,067 acres. It is 98% contained. Full containment on this fire is expected to tomorrow. So there is still a little bit of work here to be done, but over 300 firefighters as of this morning are on that fire, still making sure those hot spots are put out, finishing that containment altogether. So the Valley Fire now 98% contained, holding at 76,000 acres. Now, despite those cooler temperatures, there were several fires in Butte County that grew fairly large. Here's Chico right here. The first fire occurred on Friday. This was the Munhar fire. It burned 104 acres. It's 100% contained. The other fire was the Meridian fire that burned just off of Highway 99 early Sunday morning. That fire altogether burned almost 900 acres. So even with those cooler temperatures, we still saw fires growing large. So don't let the fall temperatures and don't let a little bit of recent rain fool you. We're still seeing fire activity. Now, much of Northern California over the weekend saw very gusty winds. In fact, over much of the state, we had a red flag warning for this section right here. That's because of gusty winds that were going to come through, that came through and really dried those conditions back out, even with a little bit of rain that we did see. So those cooler temperatures are nice, but it has not yet completely put out the fire danger just yet. So let's talk a little bit about what we can expect here. This is the number of days this summer we saw over 100 degrees. Here in Sacramento, typically in a normal year, we'd see about 14 days where they're over 100 degrees, where this year, 23. Look up there in Marysville. Normally 20 days, this year 24 days. In Redding, usually 37 days over 100, this year 48. And then we saw a bunch of those in September. So last month was an incredibly hot week. Now, hot month altogether. Now, while temperatures are slightly cooler than what they had been back in September, it was nice to start off with a little cooler temperatures, but we're going to start to see those temperatures go back up. Here you can see some 7-day forecast for both Sacramento and Redding, up to the high 80s in Sacramento by Friday, already into the 90s up in the Redding area. So in Northern California, expect to see some unseasonably warm temperatures and dry conditions with temperatures, like I said, up into the 90s, especially into the weekend. That means fire risk is still going to be much higher than we would typically see for this time of year. Now, down in Southern California, here you can see a chart that shows for the next 7 days what we're going to expect. Again, slightly cooler in the 70s today, but that's going to change pretty rapidly as we're going to almost hit 100 degrees in some parts of San Luis Obispo, Los Angeles, even past the 90s in Fresno. So in Southern California, though we did see rainfall in areas down south, expect that warming and drying trend. So while the rain was nice, even where I was over the weekend in Inyo County, there was even some snowfall. But temperatures like this, unfortunately, dry all those conditions completely right back out. So that warming and drying will really occur later in the week, Wednesday through Friday. Now on Saturday, we could see that cooling trend again later in the week, I should say by Sunday. So next week, we may have a different story. But the bottom line this week, the weather is hot, the weather is dry. That rain we saw over the weekend, as nice as it was, a lot of that will be dried back out and the fire risk will return. Now I want to talk a little bit about Fire Prevention Week. This is National Fire Prevention Week, and the theme this year is hear the beep where you sleep. Make sure you have a smoke alarm in every one of your bedrooms. Every bedroom needs a working smoke alarm. So this week we want to talk a little bit about Fire Prevention Week. Here's a couple steps. Replace all smoke alarms when they are 10 years old or if they don't sound. So you should be testing those batteries at least every month just to make sure that smoke alarm is working. Now, in most cases, the battery, if you buy a new one, doesn't need to be replaced every year or every 6 months like used to be recommended. In fact, here in California, new smoke alarms that you purchase have a 10-year life battery, but you still should check them every month or so. Again, test them every month, at least every month. Now, when the smoke alarm sounds, you want to get outside, stay outside, and go to your outside meeting place. If your smoke alarm goes off, you should expect to get out of the house in 2 minutes. So think about what exit you would take. If one of the exits was blocked, what is a secondary exit that you would take? Now, some people, especially children and older people, may need help to wake up. There are different products on the market, smoke alarms that you record voices, that you have extra light or some other type of signal to make sure that you're notified that there is an alarm that's going off. Now, working smoke alarms can reduce a person's chance of dying in a home fire by half. That's 50% just by having working smoke alarms. Now, most homes have a smoke alarm, but they aren't always working. You've got to make sure that battery is working because they're no good without a working battery. 50% of fire deaths in homes are reported at night between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. 50% of deaths occur at night. So these smoke alarms help give you that alarm you need to know that there is an emergency. Now, there are a couple questions. Somebody did ask, how is the Helitack Crew 404 doing? So for those of you who don't know, on the Valley Fire, in the initial stages, we had 4 of our firefighters who received serious burn injuries. They were all airlifted to the UC Davis Medical Center. Now, I can tell you, they are all in good spirits. 2 are still in the hospital. 2 others have been released. So they are doing well. Our review of exactly what happened, the accident itself, is still ongoing, but good spirits from all 4, so thank you for asking. Now, if you want more information on Fire Prevention Week, make sure to visit our website at fire.ca.gov. That's where you can also find the latest on all of the fires that are currently burning and the potential new ones that are still occurring, even though we're in fall. That's the latest on the Fire Situation Report here in California. I'm Daniel Berlant. Have a fire-safe week.